My name is Sange Carter and I'm from the Gold Coast in Australia. So I've been involved in pickleball for nearly 12 months now, actually. I think next week is my 12-month anniversary of my first little foray into the game. And yeah, I've got lots of little things I do with different businesses and things over here. And I'm sure we'll delve into all the different aspects of that. But yeah, loving the game as a player, as a tournament director, and just allowing that to just spread into lots of different facets. I just started playing pickleball just to get back to moving after having bubs. And I know a lot of women go and join like mothers groups, and they sit and have coffee and do mothers group. For me, pickleball was my mother's group. I would push her down in the pram. We've got courts like maybe 1.5 kilometers from my house. Extremely lucky. It's one of the only, at the time, the only dedicated pickleball courts in Australia at the time, with 8 courts. And I push the pram down. I'd play with all the I should say masters athletes, but all the oldies in the morning. They would look after Lani in the pram, and I'd get to learn how to play this weird, crazy game called pickleball. And that was like how I started. So I say pickleball was my mother's group. And Lani grew up having probably 50 different grandparents, because there were all the different oldies were around with her. And that was, for me, a really cool thing. I just noticed this big gap in the marketplace here, I guess, for events, for trying to get women, especially mums, involved back playing sport and back connecting with something that wasn't just being a mum and running after your kids. And so I created this event called Mumarama. So it was the week before Mother's Day, and it was all about just championing the mums in pickleball and making them center stage. So it was an amazing event. I think we had like 80 players come and play. I whipped it together in about 3 or 4 weeks. We had some amazing sponsors come on board, and it was just such a fun day, celebrating like all the women. And we had mums playing with sons, we had mums playing with partners, we had pickleball mums, we had gym mums, it was just a really cool event. And it was just such a lovely thing to see all the mums out there being celebrated, and the guys were the ones that were kind of running around and helping out and cheering on. So it was awesome to see kind of the flip from traditional pickleball tournaments, or tournaments in general. Our Mumarama team decided to then put on our virtual pickleball festival, because again, we saw a gap, especially in Australia, going, there's so many people out there wanting to learn and play this game, but just not having access to the resources that they needed to be able to accelerate that progress. And I think we were really lucky here on the Gold Coast. We have a really talented bunch of players. We have probably more coaches in this area than probably most other capital cities in Australia. So for us, I think we came into this journey pretty spoiled. But as I met more and more people through the sport, they're like, we just don't have coaches. We don't know how to improve. We don't know how to train. And there was all these gaps. So we thought, well, hey, again, why don't we put this thing together? And yeah, so we've been working really hard on that the last month or 3 months now. A number of the coaches and speakers that we've been able to gather for the Pickleball Festival has come from just literally meeting them at events. So it's about going up and being really open and having a conversation and just making great connections with people. And I guess finding out about their stories. And that's always been something I've always been quite a curious person. And I think by asking people questions and delving into their stories, you just create great friendships with people and great relationships. And then when the time comes where I think we've got a great synergy and a great opportunity, it's a really easy ask. My other role now is with Pacific Pickleball. So I work with them as the community director, which has been a really exciting role for me. I can bring in a lot of my events background, as probably most of the pickleball world know, that we've now partnered with Major League Pickleball in the USA to help deliver our team's events. It's going to be really exciting to see where we take that now. We've still got 2 more events for this year. In Sydney, and then 1 in Melbourne to finish off the year. So we'll go to 12 teams next year, 12 teams of 4, with 6 events. So we'll have 4 events here in Australia. We'll have 1 in New Zealand and 1 in Asia as well. So with teams coming from those regions too. So we've kind of level up again next year as we do from year to year, and really just refining our product to align with the MLP format they have in the US, and but also the other really important part for us is making sure that our amateur events, our Open and Masters, still run alongside our major league events. So that's something that's core to Pacific Pickleball, and again, just hits that target of being able to develop that next tier of talent, not the whole pyramid, but the next tier of talent underneath that can still have that ability to perform at high level tournaments under great conditions against the best players as well. So for us, that's really important. Not just the top tier, but that next one below, to really develop the talent to allow those pathways. And hopefully, I think our players then can see, playing in our MLP teams, that there will be pathways and more opportunities to potentially go to the US and play and see these bigger scope type events. And I can tell you now, the players were. So I think they were dumbfounded first when we announced it to them. We were on a call like this, and we announced it, and we thought it's either going to be excitement, or just, I think, jaws dropped to the floor. And the players, I'm not sure whether they thought we'd made a typo on our presentation or not. And then it became just that pure excitement, and it's really cool to see the players be able to, I guess, see that next step for themselves as well, now that they're starting to transition from amateur to semi-professional type athletes, where they are getting paid per event. They are starting to earn some good prize money. We've got 700,000 on the line for next year with our pro teams event, and it's just giving them, I guess, even more motivation to train hard and work with teammates, and the extra things like eating better and looking after their bodies and doing recovery and these other aspects that maybe they weren't thinking of as much. For us, and I guess my role at Pacific Pickleball, is really working with those athletes and helping them with that transition from amateur to more professional in all areas of their life, not just on the pickleball court. And then just creating these amazing events so that we can be world class. We've had our expression of interest is actually open for players for the 2024 season, and you can find that on our website as well. And I know we've already got players from Singapore, Taiwan, Indonesia, Hawaii, and New Zealand, as well as Australian athletes that have already registered their interest to participate in our MLP teams for 2024. When I first started, it must have been just after I ran the Mumarama event, and Brendan Lee, who's our executive officer at Pickleball Australia, he's like, just know that just things move really fast in pickleball. I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, I was chatting with him on the weekend, and obviously Pickleball Australia are a great supporter for ours with our events, and we work really closely with our national body. And he's like, I told you, hey. I was like, yeah, things move fast. And it was just like trying to come up for air, because it is, and it's kind of like, what's next? But for us, I think it's just that settling of things now to deliver some great events this year, and then work towards solidifying our teams for 2024 and moving through that space. And it's really cool, and it's just trying to focus on one thing at a time. And I guess for me, it's like, stay in my lane, don't get distracted by all these other bright and shiny things that might be going on around the place, and just trying to deliver on whichever project it is at the time that the focus is on. But it's a great space to be in. Ooh, some shout outs. Like always, like my wife Sarah and my little baby Lani, like for them, they put up with me doing these massive events and crazy hours and calls to the US at silly times. So they're always like my number one fans. But again, like our Pacific Pickleball team are amazing. Adamant, Tim and James, like again, couldn't do these events without the guys. And I feel like sometimes I'm the mum of the group, and other times I'm just learning from them, and it's very, very cool. And I guess the other bit just goes back to the Mumarama cruise. So that's our ladies, Libby and I, and all the ladies down at the Currumbin Pickleball club, just helping where we got things started. And I guess for any of those people that have just been big supporters of me, just to go, hey, whether it's a pat on the back or a little clap here or a come on, don't do too much type thing. It's really great to have such a supportive community around us in what we do. And I think so many other people will be like, dude, like just stop doing stuff. You're doing too much. And whereas I just love the support. Everyone's like, yeah, go for it. And how can I help?